Stop whatever you were gonna do, cause it's time for Nick and the crew to tell you all the lore that you never knew about your favorite media, my dude. Stuff you're too lazy to look up, Nick and the boys gonna hook you up. From Halo and Batman to religious stuff, Lorecast is starting, so shut the hell up.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Lorecast. My name is Original Nick. I'm doing another one of these random rambling on ones that I did for the American Dad Season 14 episode, whatever I talked about last time for Rabbit Ears. This time I'm talking about Dragon Age, the lore of my character. See, the best thing about Dragon Age is that depending on your actions, each playthrough will be completely different, and what you do in one story influences what you do in the next story, and subsequent whatever you do in the DLCs for each story carries on to the next game, and then the actions in that game carry on to the third game, as well as the actions that you did for the first game then make sense in the the third game. So far there's 3. I would argue there's 4. Dragon Age Origins and then Dragon Age Awakening. Dragon Age Origins dash Awakening. It's a big expansion, like a 6 gigabyte expansion. When all the others are a couple hundred megabytes, I would consider it a massive story. I've only just started Awakening. I know what it's about, but so far I have played Origins, and I'll go through my character, what they did in Origins, and then through each subsequent DLC. Within reason. I'll do another one of Awakening whenever I get there. But, so my Grey Warden, so in the 3 main characters that you have are so in order to go on, we can talk about, the 3 main characters that you have. You have the Grey Warden, so that's you. Through your actions, you can become certain other titles. So you have the Grey Warden, then you have the Champion of Kirkwall, and then you have the Inquisitor. Those are the basic 3 that you have. Each of them can change depending on your actions in certain games. So my Grey Warden, she was or is a casteless dwarf. So that right there already sets up a heap of trouble for those who are trying to understand. There are a couple different races you can choose and a couple different classes or your background that you can choose. You can choose Dwarf Commoner, Dwarf Noble. You can choose Human Commoner, Human Noble. I believe Elves, you can choose the Dalish or the City Elf. And then within those, you can, minus Dwarf, you can be a mage, because dwarves can't use magic. Within reason, there are certain get-arounds by that within Dragon Age. And then you have, an elf or a human mage, and then, the nobilities of each. It all influences your story. The big overarching thing is that a high-ranking Grey Warden is out looking for recruits. So no matter which you choose, Duncan will always be there. Duncan is the senior Grey Warden of Dragon Age Origins at the beginning, and no matter which you choose, I believe he will show up. I've only played Dwarf Commoner and the beginning of Dwarf Noble. Side story, side rant. Sorry, these aren't going to have too much editing because, I don't know, these are just big, long ramblings. But I've played 2 versions. Well, I started to play Dragon Age Origins once. Here's the order in which I played them. I played Inquisition for about 500 hours. And then I played Dragon Age 2 for a tiny little bit just to see my character show up in the third one. And then I played Dragon Age Origins just to have that character slightly mentioned without actually playing the entirety. I played a Dwarf Noble just to get past the beginning because I didn't know at the time that Dragon Age Inquisition was actually the third game. I consider it the fourth now, but the third game. So, goofy me. I don't know which is worse, Kingdom Hearts or Dragon Age. For you have to play the other ones. You have to play the other ones for this one to make sense, especially Dragon Age. But Dragon Age is a little more fun, as in your actions directly influence the entire rest of the game. Which characters you can have fight alongside you in the end, which characters die, which characters leave, which characters betray you sometimes. If your main character dies or not in all of them. I don't know if Inquisition your character can die. At least I've played so many of that one. I usually end up going for the same kind of person, though. They're always chaotic good. Who always is friends with every party member. So, I will specifically gravitate towards the chaotic good people, and true neutral, to be honest. My party in Dragon Age Origins was Liliana, Alistair, and Wynn. Alistair and Wynn, I would argue, are lawful good, but Liliana, I would say, is true neutral. Some people like to say she's chaotic good because she'll be all right with hurting people, but she'll kill people. Chaotic good doesn't like to kill someone. Liliana's like, yeah, if they deserve it, kill them. Sure, I don't care. So that's what I think makes her a little bit true neutral. And she's not chaotic neutral because chaotic neutral, they care about themselves first and foremost. Chaotic neutral people, I think Captain Jack Sparrow. Captain Jack Sparrow is the antithesis, in my personal opinion, of chaotic neutral. So I wouldn't say that Liliana is chaotic neutral or chaotic good. My character is. I always try to do things persuadingly, diplomatically, unless there are certain ones that you cannot persuade, they will just attack you anyway. And all you've done is maybe help someone gather your cause and fight for you. If there were cars in Dragon Age, I'll tell you what. Be riding that stallion across the Anderfelds, the Frostback Mountains, getting up to Haven. So, tangent, back on track. In Dragon Age Origins, my character is a dwarf commoner, which means you are casteless. Within the dwarf hierarchy, there are the casteless, which means your ancestors did something poopy to some noble people, so they shove your ass down in the slums, and they tattoo your face with looks like an S. Then you have the smith class, warrior class, and servant class, which, those kind of speak for themselves. I wouldn't, think that I would need to explain. Smith class is people who craft the weapons. Warrior classes use the weapons to fight off the Darkspawn and the Deep Roads. And then servants serve the nobility. And then the nobles, there are families that are of high importance within the dwarf kingdom Orzammar. The dwarf noble is Iduken. That's the last name of them. And I forget the last name. I think it's no. I don't know. I chose a first name and middle name by accident for my character because you're supposed to just pick a first name and then it has an automatic last name because most of them, each origin has its own prior backstory, and you are just going forward from that and crafting your character. The casteless is the dwarf commoner is someone who lives in the slums and is mom is a drunk, sister is how do I put this lightly? She is sent out for money, for pleasure, and everyone in the slums knows her in that way. It's kind of, I don't want to say well known, but it's, everyone talks about her like that. She's hopefully optimistic. At least my character was. Your sister is kind of here and there. Your mom is a drunk because your father died. So I mentioned a little bit earlier that there are the warrior class fights these darkspawn. So that's what I'll go to next. Is starting with the cast list. Then you go to. So I guess I'm doing like a little lore on the Dragon Age dwarves. The when you if you are, I don't know how to put it. So the darkspawn are kind of like the main bad guys, if you will. So within underground, you have the dwarves. Dwarves live underground, and next to them, throughout their taigs, which are underground roads, basically big mountainous or underground mountainous sized tunnels that lead to various parts of the old city. So within these taigs and deep roads, there are these evil creatures tainted by an archdemon. So that's the main bad guy of Origins, is an archdemon. You are, depending on who you are, you're a casteless, well, mine was a casteless dwarf, who sneaks her way into the Proving, which is something that is reserved for warrior class, which is where a warrior goes and they fight it out. They don't kill each other. They beat each other down. And my character just decided to do it honorably. You can either poison the other, drug the other guy, or do it honorably. My person did it honorably. She beat the heck out of the other guy, and then Duncan's like, "Oh, whoa, I'm here to get a Grey Warden from Orzammar," and my character beat the other ones honorably, and then Duncan was like, "Well, I can see that she has great power," and then they're like, "Whoa, this is nullified. She's a castless loser. So if you don't have a class, you're just a loser." So, and Duncan's like, "Well, I can see great potential in her." So he takes you, and you go to the Grey Warden camp, and you take what's called the Joining. The Joining is where you drink darkspawn blood. So we've gone from my character starting off as a nobody, then being recruited by Duncan at Orzammar, to finding out what these darkspawn are. They are tainted beings from an archdemon, and then we drink their blood, and then you get called. You're called. It's tainted blood. You get a taint. I don't know how to put it any more not gross. You get a taint, and what that is there's a little piece of darkspawn in you, so it allows you to sense darkspawn and feel the archdemon about around and about. So at the beginning of Dragon Age, you play for a couple hours before the damn title card plays, I swear. So you go from my character being underground to on the surface with Duncan. You take the Joining with a hopeful little dinkus boy named Alistair, who was a Templar, and I'll go into Templars in another episode whenever I get to them. He was a Templar and now is a Grey Warden, and you're at a camp called Ostagar. It's like a little fortress, and that's where the king is. And once you're walking around this camp, so you go from underground to the Grey Warden camp, and you're walking around camp, the king is there. King Kalen, who is, he's royal descent, obviously. That's going to come important later on. Everyone's like, wow, king who is of noble descent. What are you, stupid? No, it'll come important later. So Kalen's plan is to just have the Grey Wardens out on the field, slinging blades, slinging blood. And then Loghain's men, Loghain is a Tairn, and a Tairn is a very, very prominent noble family. There's like two. There are two Terns in all of Ferelden, I believe. There were more, but they all, fell out of grace, I believe. So there's Tern Logain and Tern How, I believe. I believe he is a Tern. That's Tim Curry's character. Tim Curry's in the game. Love him. Logain is commanding the armies. And as the Darkspawn attack, me and Alistair and my character, I'll just call her name. It's Carla with a K, Carla Balkra. So Kalra and Alistair go up to the tower to light a signal. Duncan doesn't want to make sure that Alistair dies. It's important that he doesn't die, because Duncan is like a father to him. Alistair's like a son to Duncan, and we're just supposed to light the signal flare. That's all we're doing, and the Darkspawn aren't supposed to be as close as they are, but they're up in the tower, and we got to kill these bad mamma jammas. We kill that honky ogre that's up there. It's a different type of Darkspawn. I can go into the Darkspawn. No. You know what? I'm not going to go into any of them. Go and look up. It's Gilderthal. She is a fantastic Dragon Age lore YouTuber. I'm just going over my character. Is it Gilderthalen or Gilderthal? I think it's Gilderthalen. I'll edit this part, actually. Hold on. Yeah, it's Gilderthalen. I was goofy. So I'm not going to go into the Darkspawn classes and ranks because a very good YouTuber who I would consider is a mild friend. I haven't been able to talk to her much. I support her on YouTube. Right now, she's not doing collaborations at the time of this recording because she's a child. So, babies take up a lot of time. So she can't do any collaborations. I asked, and she said, she's busy. It makes sense. So, but please check out her videos. They are fantastic. She goes over all of the Darkspawn, all over each kind of each backstory for each of the Wardens and the champions and all that. So she goes well in depth. I'm just going over my character and some of the world building that my character develops throughout the game. If you want deep, in-depth look, just like I do for the Fallout videos, I suggest Shoddycast or Oxhorn for in-depth, detailed lore. I'm just talking about my characters and their actions that lead up to my Thedas, which is the world of Dragon Age, which is my friend Jordan, shout out to Jordan, told me that Thedas means the Dragon Age state. So the THE, and then D is for dragon, A is for age, and S is for state, the Dragon Age state. So Thedas, the world of Thedas, is the world of the Dragon Age state, and you change it. You actually upload it to the Dragon Age Keep, which is a website. So, and you can go in and change all your stats. You can, if you're like, oh, I don't like the way this ended up, you can either play the whole game again, or you can just edit it in Tapestry and see how it changes your entire world. I love it. I love it. Jordan actually helped me craft the perfect world, and little did I know I would be mostly doing that throughout this 2020. Just kidding. This current year. This current year playthrough. Enter whatever current year it is. So where was I? Yes, Kaelin has a plan to just throw the Grey Wardens with the army backed behind. The Grey Wardens are out front, and as soon as we light the signal, Alistair and I, the army is supposed to run in and go crazy, hog wild. That doesn't happen, unfortunately. Logain betrays Kaelin. When you're at the camp, you can talk to Logain. My cunning was high enough. My persuasion was high enough, and I persuaded the guy to let me have a little talk with Logain before we went in. And Logain was like, this kid is brash and bold, and we're all gonna die if we do his plan. No matter what, Logain betrays you. He's the main antagonist. Well, one of them. There are so many antagonists depending on where you are, which part of the world you're in. And also, there's one big main antagonist, a smaller secondary antagonist, then a third antagonist, and then depending on which city you're in, there's always an antagonist everywhere. It's ridiculously full, to say the least. So, Loghain, as soon as we light the thing, he's like, "Whoa, this isn't supposed to happen. They're supposed to die up there." Then we light the signal. Kaelin dies. Loghain turns all the army back. Kaelin gets crushed by an ogre, in his hands. It's really bloody, actually. And then Duncan dies as well. He shoves his 2 blades into the chest of the ogre. But they both die. Duncan and Kaelin, the king, are dead. And in a rather dark turn of events, that's the beginning of Dragon Age. The Dragon Age origins, I would consider the origins to be the origins of your Grey Warden and setting up the world of Thedas to all of us. I didn't mention that right before this all happened, we go to see a girl in the wastes, the Kokari wilds, actually not the wastes, that's different. So before all that, we go and we meet up with a girl named Morrigan. Morrigan is one of our party members. She's called the Witch of the Wilds. She comes into play so much within the story. She is fantastically written character. I would almost say she's true neutral as well, but whereas Leliana is true neutral, good leaning, Morrigan is true neutral, evil leaning. I know that almost makes them sound like they're chaotic good and chaotic evil, but they're not. They're both in it for themselves, sort of. Well, they one of them gives you good approval for doing good things, and one of them gives you good approval for doing bad things, or being indifferent and being in a hurry to get places. That's Morrigan. If you ever stop to help anyone, she's like, "What are you doing? We need to go." And then you'll get disapproval from her. So we meet her and we talk to her, and Flemeth, her mom, goes, "Yeah, you're going with them." And she's like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, you're going with them." And we take Morrigan with us. And that's that until after the big the big fight and death. From there we go to Lothering. After all that is done, we are the last 2 Grey Wardens, and Morrigan and Alistair and I, we go to Lothering, a small town in Ferelden, and we go and we meet 2 characters that you can be companions with. The first one is Leliana within the Chantry, and I don't want to go into the Chantry. Again, check out Dirthalen. But the Chantry, I would say, is close to the Catholic Church. I mean, it's obviously not. I'm not being heretical here. I'm not being a heretic. I'm just saying it's modeled after a church, I would say. Instead of Jesus and God, they have the Maker, who is God, and Andraste, and I guess she's kind of like a prophet, but not. She's kind of like Jesus, not really. It's based off, I would say it's based off the church, though. And so we meet a Chantry girl named Leliana. That's where Leliana comes from, is Lothering. And we can convince her to come with us, and she'll help us throughout our journey. We also meet Sten outside. He's a Qunari. And a Qunari is, they come from lands, I believe, east of Thedas. I don't remember where. But he can also join us. He's extremely true neutral. Like, you can convince him to be good or bad, but he is no leaning left or right. He's there for a purpose. He is, as soon as you tell him, you need to tell him straightforward to his face certain things. If you start asking him questions, if you start being too elaborate, he'll give you disapproval, and you're like, come on, Sten, I'm trying to be funny with you. And he's like, no. How are you going to defeat this archdemon? And then you got to tell him, I'm going to kill it. And then he's like, good. That's what I like to hear. But if you're like, there's one part where he says, you're a woman. And you can either be like, I am. And he's like, women don't fight. And you can be like, well, I can do this or that. And then he'll be like, no. But if you're like, yeah, I can kill things, he's like, good. So he's very, you got to just tell him straight to his face, you know. If he says something like, wow, you're a woman, why are you fighting? You're like, I can just kill things. He's like, all right, that makes sense. Or how are you going to slay this archdemon? I'm going to cut its head off. Good. That's what he likes to hear. He's very straightforward. Don't be too elaborate with him. He's very complicated like that. So that's the two you meet there in Lothering. My character helped out a little bit, you know, got rid of the bandits, made friends with Sandal and Bodrin. That's also a straightforward. I mean, you can be a dick if you want. Morgan does not like helping people, so I was like, hey, let me help this person. They're like, nope. She's like, no, what are we doing wasting time? The Darkspawn are practically up our assholes. So after we did that in Lothering, we go to camp. And camp is when you have nightmares of this archdemon that's attacking Thedas. And that's when Alistair is like, hey, did you have a nightmare? And you're like, yep. And he's like, that's part of the taint that we have. My taint is tingling with anticipation for this archdemon. So you see within the deep roads, this evil army amassing. That's camp. And this is where you get to go a couple places. Our main mission is to gather friends. We have treaties out. That's what Duncan sent us to do. I totally forgot this. But I've been playing this game for like 30 hours, so something slipped my mind. Duncan sends you to go get papers, treaties. That's where you meet Morrigan. Morrigan took the papers and gave them to Flemeth, and that's how we meet her. And then Flemeth's like, hey, here's your papers back. And you're like, thank you. What do you want for them? Morrigan goes with you. That's what happened. Totally forgot. So we take these treaties and we go to the Arl of Redcliffe, the Dalish elves out in the Brazilian forest, and then we go to the dwarves of Orzammar. So it's particularly interesting. The only one, so whenever I believe, I don't know the human noble. I know that if you are an elf, you come from the Dalish, or a city elf, which is Denerim. You can be, you know, like I said, back to Orzammar, or I'll have to play the human noble one and human commoner to see where you start off, if it's Redcliffe or Denerim. Not sure, but you go, and if you're a mage, you go from the Circle of Magi, which is a tower out on Lake Calenhad. So the three places you got to go are Redcliffe, you have to go to the Circle, and then you have to, there's four places. You got to go to the Circle, Redcliffe, Orzammar, again, if you're a dwarf like I was, and then to the Brazilian forest to go get aid of the elves. The order I did it in was Redcliffe first, followed by, I went to the Magi, Circle of Magi first, then the Redcliffe, then the back to Orzammar, and then the Dalish elves. Depending on which order you get things, sometimes dialogue opens up, and my character is very dialogue heavy. So we travel all the way from Lothering, and then we go straight to the tower, and that's when we find our next character, but she's a little bit later on. So this is going to be a long video, by the way, or a long episode. I hope you know that. Basically just me rambling. It's interesting, though. I hope you like it. So we go to the Circle, and I probably should have done that one definitely second. I think the first one should have been back to Orzammar. It's a little bit easier, if I remember right. So we go, and their So that's when we start talking about Templars. There are mages and Templars. That's two schools of thought within the Chantry, I would say. The Chantry has authority over Templars and mages. Mages obviously use magic. Within there, you have there's different classes you can be: arcane warrior, spirit healer, shapeshifter, stuff like that. There's also the Tranquil. If you want to listen to the Tranquil, obviously again, Dirthalen. She's fantastic. So the Templars are used to control the mages, basically. That's kind of the main plot of 2 and the beginning of Inquisition. Is there's a fight a-brewing. Stuff is a-brewing with the mages and Templars. Set in motion by Origins, I would say. I mean, they're already kind of, at odds, because at the Circle of Magi Tower, you have the Templars there are controlling. They have the power to induce tranquility. They have the power to just straight up kill the mages. They have the power to subdue magic. And Templars also hunt down apostate mages. So if a mage is like, I'm running from the tower, I'm out of here, I can't do this no more. Alistair was one of those who was tasked with hunting down mages. So he talks about how he had to hunt down mages, and it's pretty sad beginning for our boy. So once we get there, the tower is in ruin. Some of the mages started practicing blood magic, and when blood is used within a spell, if the blood is the spell instead of like an activator in one of the DLCs, if it's an activator, it's like a gray area for mages. If the blood is straight up, like you killed someone to get what you wanted, that's blood magic. When you go to the tower, blood mages started raising up darkspawn within the tower, and the Templars they're not having it. They're having all sorts of problems. They can't get these guys under control. So you can offer to help the Templars and call in the right of, I forget what it's called, where they just come in, they just kill all the mages. Just kill all the mages. Templars come in, stomp down the doors, slaughter them all. Or you can side with the mages, and that is to control, bring the tower back under control. I sided with the mages, and I helped them out a little bit by going through the tower and going slaying slaying darkspawn and demons, going through whatever way I could, up till you get to a desire demon, or a sloth demon. He puts you to sleep, and then you go through these. You go through the minds of everyone. So you go through all these sleepers' dreams, and then you go into the Fade a little bit. The Fade is, I don't know how to explain the Fade. Also, Dirthalen, obviously, she has so many videos. I hope if you do go to Dirthalen, please let her know that Original Nick from Lorecast and Original Nick from the Original Nick Show sent you. She might know who I am. I've messaged her a couple times. I'll let her know that I'm giving her a shout out for my playthroughs and sending them her way. So we go and we get all the way up to the Fade, and we're going. No, that's later. Sorry, never mind. The Fade's not there yet. We're going through the mines, or is it the Fade? I think it is the Fade. Yes. Because we're going through all these different mines. We're going through a sleeping Templar, a sleeping mage, and someone else. But they each give you a transformation. You got to transform into these different forms. There's 5 beginning ones where it's like a Templar's Nightmare, mage on the whatever, a sleeping servant or something like that. I don't know. So you go through these 5, and then once you do 2 on the same side, then you get to go and save one of your friends from the sleeping realm. Before we do that, right before that, we meet another character, Wynne. She's my other party member that I carry with me, Wynne. She is a mage who is, she's good. She's a good character. She's, I'd say she's lawful good. Within reason. I mean, she is lawful good. She's like the grandma of the group. Alistair constantly calls her old, and then like will be very grandmotherly. She'll be like grandmotherly towards him, like, stop messing with that itch. And he's like, but my socks are wet, and she's like, well, clean them. Stuff like that. So Wynn joins you for this adventure if you want. I definitely had her come with me because at the time I took Morrigan out of the party because Morrigan, I was like, oh, she's a character who's not going to like me doing good things, and Liliana mostly does, and Alistair gives you big points for being good boy or good girl. Wynn also does too. Liliana just likes freedom, so if you can always help to free someone, she'll be big ups with you. Alistair doesn't, he thinks some people should be left locked up, some people shouldn't. Wynn also says some people should be locked up, some others shouldn't, but Liliana's like, no, I don't care what they did. Sten killed a family. Oops, I will take him anyway because he doesn't deserve to die in a cage. So we're going through all these minds and the sleepers and dreamers, and we kill this demons. Then we get to the big demon, the sloth demon, at the center of this little diagram. I might pull it up on the video version if you're in the Spotify version or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm sorry, I don't know where to put the image. It's maybe like in the show notes description. Nah, I don't think. Can you put links in a Spotify description? I don't know. But think of like a pentagon with 3 spokes that come off of it. 4 spokes, I guess. Whatever. So you get all the way down to fighting and killing this demon within the Fade, and you're back out, and that's it. You meet another little boy named Cullen. He doesn't come back, at least in my game. I haven't seen him in 2 yet. He comes back in the 3rd game. So after that, we go to the Arl of Redcliffe, who is deathly ill. We find out that he's been poisoned, and then a demon has taken over the Arl's son. I chose to keep the boy living. You can kill the kid. You can kill the kid. He'll turn into a demon, and you have to kill him. Or you can have his mom kill him, or you can knock out the mom and kill him yourself. I chose to go into the Fade with the mage who poisoned the Arl. So what I did was I went back to the Circle of Magi after helping the mages. They offered to help me because I helped the mages, and they're like, sure, we'll help you, no problem. So the first enchanter comes and is like, all right, someone has to go into the Fade. Only one mage can go through at a time. Since we're not using blood magic, only one mage can go through. And I chose the mage that poisoned the Arl of Redcliffe. It's a stupid hard fight with him because he sucks. He's a low-level mage with like blood magic, but not very good blood magic. So it took me like 7 tries. It took me forever. Even on casual, I don't play games on difficult settings if you know me. So from there, we save the boy, but the Arl is still sick, so we have to go find the Urn of Andraste. If you want to learn more about Andraste, Dirthalen, Ghil space Dirthalen. I'll have to look it up. I'll put a link at the I'll put her name down in the video description on the YouTube version and in the show notes for the other versions on Anchor.fm. That's where I distribute these. So you have to go find the Urn of Sacred Ashes of Andraste. Andraste is a prophet of the Maker, and the Maker loved Andraste in the not love like I love you all, but in the love like I love my fiance, love my partner. She's fantastic. I love her. So from there we go and we find a cult. A cult is worshiping Andraste in the wrong way. They think she turned herself into a dragon and is now a dragon. So we got to go all the way up to Haven. We find the Urn of Sacred Ashes, and the antagonist for that location is a zealot who offers you to poison the urn of sacred ashes. I did not. I left it good and whole. And you take a little pinch of the urn of sacred ashes of Andraste, and you take it back to the Arl of Redcliffe, and makes you good. That's where you get a lot of backstory for who Andraste was, what Andraste did, how Andraste died, the good that she did while she was alive for the people. She's just a good person. So we take the pinch of sacred ashes back to Redcliffe, and we give it to the Arl, who is healed. So from there, I went back to Orzammar. So everyone's like, "Oh, you're the little castless asshole who ruined our proving." And then we're like, "Yep." And from there, we meet Ogren, who is a drunk boy, and I love him. And you can talk to him. Before I went to talk to him beforehand because I looked up how to get him because I was like, I want to get every companion there is. And he'll talk to you about a paragon, which is basically an ancient dwarf thought to be reincarnated in a new generation. So they're very powerful. They do a lot of good for for Orzammar, and she's been missing. And when you get there, there's a civil war within Orzammar. The king's son, Balin, and a noble lord of Orzammar are fighting for the throne. I went with the prince. He's the rightful ruler, I guess. He's very radical. And the other guy, Hawthorne. Yeah, the other guy is like super traditional. And if you're a noble, he can restore you back to your house after you leave. I definitely was a castless, so he didn't care much for me. But Balin marries my sister, and she is now a noble. She went from a castless loser in the slums to having the prince's hand in marriage, and they have a child together. So in order to do that, you have to go help around Orzammar and help people for the side of whoever you want. And the biggest thing is the vote of a paragon. That kind of outweighs all of the other things that you've done up until then. You know, there's been dirty dealings back behind the scenes. You go take out your former friend who betrays your ass. You go and find papers where the Hawthorne guy promised a house to 2 different families for their vote, and it only holds one family. So you go deliver the papers, and that's when you go to the deep roads to find one of the families and go, hey, here's some papers. Then you got to walk back, and that's when they go, hey, we need to find a paragon. And so you go down to the deep roads, and you find, with Ogren, you take him with you, and he's like, it's Steve Blum, one of my favorite voice actors of all time. He's like, the Oregon Tide. So we go down, and we're trying to find the void of the Anvil of the Void. That's where this other paragon was. I forget her name. All of a sudden, it's like Braca. I think it's Braca. And she's been looking for this. She is the paragon, the ancient who was reincarnated, basically. And we start finding out what this Anvil of the Void is, what it does, why Braca wants it, and who she was to Ogren and all that. So once we go through and we catch up to her, there are 2 possible options. We meet the guy who created the Anvil of the Void, and he created something called golems. These are stone beings with the soul of a living creature, the soul of other dwarves cast into it through this Anvil of the Void. And it's really dark and scary, but you can either choose to destroy it and help the old paragon, who is still alive because he turned himself into a golem, a steel golem, and he is just not having it. He is having a bad time. He's been trapped for thousands of years underground, or hundreds, thousands, a long time. And so he's like, please destroy this. It's my final wish. And in order to do that, you have to kill Braca. And that does not sit well with Oghren, because Oghren like loved this girl. And she's like, if you choose me, I can give you an army of golems. So when I mentioned at the end that the choices you make help, choose what kind of people help you fight at the end. I don't know what happens at Redcliffe, but I know that if you side with the Templars at the Circle of Magi Tower, then Templars come and fight the Archdemon with you at the end. If you side with the old Paragon, you get just regular dwarves. But if you side with Braca, like she said, she'll give you an army of golems to fight the army of Darkspawn. I sided with the good, and in order to get that vote of the Paragon, because we have to kill Braca, she's dead, and she was a Paragon, and her vote outweighed all the other ones. In order to still get that vote of the Paragon, our final wish of the old Paragon is he makes a crown for the one that we choose to be king. So our voice is the one that really matters. So we go back to the assembly of these guys who are bickering old farts, and we go, hey, here you go. Here's a crown of the one that I want to be king. Like I said, I chose the Radical Prince. So that is who rules. And then the dwarves accompany me at the end. He promises to send in the dwarves. Then from there, I went to the woods, the Dalish. The Dalish were having a problem with werewolves. So like I was saying earlier, the antagonist of this one is werewolves. You can side with the werewolves and they'll help you. At the end. Or you'll have elf archers. I chose to side with the elves because I am chaotic good. So my character was very persuasive and we resolved it peacefully. But what happens is you meet this elven keeper who is leading his clan against these werewolves from a curse. And this curse, once they get bitten by a werewolf, it turns them into a werewolf. And you go into the forest, fight your way through living trees and more darkspawn and bears. And that's when you get to find out that he made the curse. The old keeper made the curse on accident, on purpose. He was trying to save his wife and his child, and he made this spirit of the forest through his actions. And to resolve it peacefully, he sacrifices himself. That one's a shorter one. I don't know how to really go in depth with that one. That might be the one I start off with first next time, because it's pretty easy. Not a lot of in depth going out of the way to go a side quest to come back. So there's that. Resolved it peacefully, that sort of thing. I guess I would, in order of which I would do things, I would go straight to the forest, then Orzammar, because that one's all self-contained within reason, and then the Arl of Redcliffe, Circle of Magi first, then the Dalish, then Orzammar, and then the Arl of Redcliffe. Because, man, that one, the Redcliffe just takes so long. You got to go through 3 different missions just to help this one guy. So that's the order I would do it in next time. After we do that, that's when you clean up all your side quests. Download the DLC before you fight the Archdemon. I decided, hey, I'm going to go ahead and play all the DLC after I beat the game, because one of them is a prequel where Liliana tells of her betrayal, which I can go into that later on. Because once you go to Denerim is like the city of it's like the royal city of Ferelden. So Liliana is there. Alistair's sister is there. The city elves are there. The city elves are in an alienage. Think of like, I would consider it Skid Row. There's like a plague. These elves are cramped. There's some really bad shit going on there. So from there, the that's the main hub. So get all your DLC out of the way first. Do the Stone Prisoner DLC. Do the other one. That one. What is it now? I just did it. Witch Hunt. Do that one. I guess do that one after Awakening. Actually, I think you're meant to do Awakening first. I think it's like Dragon Age Origins, then Dragon Age Awakening. Well, I'm doing it way out of order. I did Dragon Age Origins, and then I did them all in order of which they showed up in the game store. Dang. Stone Prisoner, then the other one where you get back to Ostagar, where you lay King Kaelin's body to rest. He's like hung up on like this ritualistic thing, and all of his armor is spread out amongst the Darkspawn, and I give it all to Alistair because that's my boy. I didn't talk about Alistair yet. I'll get back to it. But then I did the other one that just gives you more cool stuff. Then I did Witch Hunt and the Darkspawn Chronicles and Liliana's Song. Darkspawn Chronicles is an alternate timeline where you are the Darkspawn and you get to kill all of your favorite characters. It's really ridiculous. Liliana's Song is a prequel, and then Witch Hunt is a sequel, mini one that catches up with Morrigan after your choices in the main game. So I would say after I did all that, I went back to... so before all the DLC talk, I went to Denerim. I kept going back there, back and forth. We talked with Alistair's sister, because turns out Alistair is actually of royal descent. He's a bastard child of King Merrick. So he is King Kaelin's half-brother. And you go and meet Alistair's half-sister from his commoner mom. And she is not too happy to see you, I will let you know. And you can offer to help her when you're king. So I did that. Once you get there, you talk to all the nobles who have gathered for this thing called the Lands Meet, which is where all the good that you've done, all of these treaties, if you helped, what happens is you need to go to and save people within Denerim. You know, you go to the alienage and find out what's going on there. You find out that Tevinter slavers have been coming through and taking entire elven families into slavery under King Logain's nose, and you find the papers to put that against him, because you're basically trying to get Logain not backed by anyone. Then you go to Howe, H-O-W-E, S, not Howl, not Howl's Moving Castle, but the Arl of Denerim, Howe. The Tim Curry character, has all these prisoners in his basement, and you go and free them, and then they will back you up. The true Arl of Denerim, his son is there. He's actually the true one. So that's what that all is. Denerim is a big honkin' chunk of the game. So you gather up all these things against him, and that's when he is not backed by anyone, and then everyone backs the Grey Warden. And that's when you choose what to do with Logain. If you convince Alistair to marry the daughter, the queen of Ferelden, Merrick's widow, then you convince them to make a diplomatic relationship where he leads while she rules, because King Kaelin was very like super brash, like let's go do this, and she would like run the affairs. It's kind of the same thing, but Alistair's a little more. He's more good-hearted. I don't know how to explain it. He's better like that. So coming from, you convince them two to get together. I did anyway. I think that they would rule jointly together very well. But if you have Alistair kill Logain, she won't marry him. And then all that work you did, well, you just have to do little conversations with either of them. She won't marry him. She's like, I can't marry the guy who just killed my dad, so I killed him. Or you can have what's called the secret companion, which is where you take Logain in as a Grey Warden. And unfortunately, that means Alistair leaves your party, and then just goes off and marries Honora, gets prepped for that, but he won't fight with you at the end, because he's really pissed off at you. So I made Alistair and Honora king and queen, and I killed Loghain myself with my own bare hands. And she's upset with me a little bit, but I mean, I guess she gets it. I don't know. She was bad. I didn't insist that he has to pay, otherwise she won't listen to you again. So that's when, after Loghain is dead, Alistair is king. That's when we go into the big fight, the fight against the archdemon, which is like a big black dragon. So once we get there, all of my allies are, you can call in your allies. I have the dwarf fighters, I have the elven archers, and I got mages, and I have Redcliffe elite warriors. So we're working our way through all of these things. I had a few other companions, like you save a dog at the beginning, and he just automatically just loves you so much. You can't make dogs sad or happy. He's just full friendship with you all the time. And then I also had Zevran, but I shouldn't really talk about Zevran because I never did anything for him. He betrayed me and I had to kill him. And then I had Shale, but that was after I beat the game. So I couldn't really get full friendship with her or win, because I did Wynn's stuff after the game. I didn't realize you couldn't travel anywhere. So that's it. Once the game is over, you're just stuck at camp talking to your friends for the rest of the game. I couldn't find anybody to go with that within the DLC anyway. Outside of the DLC, you go to some places you've been before, but other than that, not really. You get a lot of temporary companions for those different ones. But at the end, all my friends who were still around helped me, which was all of them except for Zevran, because I still had Oghren. I was friendly with him. He was like slightly in the friendship zone, but didn't really care. He was neutral towards me. Sten, I became pretty good friends with. I didn't get to do his full thing because in order to do that, you have to go back to Redcliffe to grab his sword that he dropped. But if you wait too long like I did, right before killing the archdemon, you can't go to Redcliffe in any of the doors. They all get blocked off and the darkspawn run over, so I couldn't get a sword, so I couldn't be full friendly with him. Wynn, I didn't get her full thing, but she was still she very much liked me. She was a good friend. Alistair was a good friend. I knocked him down a couple points and back up a couple points, back and forth. Leliana was my romance interest. You can romance people, and it has sex scenes, but it's not as graphic as the third game, where it has full nudity. It has like bras and panties. Yes, my character was a lesbian. My character is always a lesbian if I can make them one, because I don't like playing a guy character, because if I got to stare at a character for 50 hours, I would rather be someone that I would, want to look like in a game. If you read any of my stories on the Original Nick's show or listen to them, every story that I commission from a writer, they happen to be a female character. I don't know. I just like female protagonists within general when they're written well. Looking at you, Game of Thrones. Daenerys Targaryen was a poorly written character at the end. Season 8, she was just a little brat. I also don't like when they do the whole girl power thing. So my character was not a very girl power kind of character. Liliana's not either. Liliana's not like some damsel in distress who is all badass all of a sudden. She just kills people. My character just does good, and only flirted with Liliana because I'm loyal like that. When I talk about girl power, I'm talking about that scene in Endgame where all the girls get together and they beat up on Thanos. Girl power. And I bet it's good for like 10-year-old and younger girls who are like, wow, the girls got together. But for like adult women, they're like, what the hell happened? I think even my fiance, she was like, what? That movie came out before we were engaged and dating. So wouldn't know what her original reaction was. But I know that a lot of my friends were like, it seemed like it was pandering, and I wasn't a fan. So my character never is like a girl power kind of I never say stuff like I'm a woman, therefore I am powerful. My character's just like, yeah, I kill people. So Liliana was in a relationship with me, and that it affects your dialogue, how they treat for you. Certain characters interact with you, and as we're about to, right before this big battle, you can convince Alistair to sleep with Morrigan because we save a Grey Warden at Howe's residence, and he's another Grey Warden from Orlais, which is a war. Not a warring. There was a war, but Ferelden won, I believe, and they freed themselves. Orlais is like the royal city where there's an Empress Celine. She's the Empress, and so the Grey Wardens of Orlais are, trying to get into correspondence with the Ferelden Grey Wardens. And Roland tells you, hey, it's an archdemon. The way this happens is whoever kills it, they're going to die. Morrigan goes, I know there's a way to avoid this whole you or Alistair dying or Roland dying. And that is Alistair sleeps with Morrigan. My character couldn't because she was female. But if you have a male Grey Warden, you can sleep with Morrigan. And she will have an old god baby where once you slay the archdemon, the tainted blood of the child attracts the archdemon's soul. So it doesn't go into me and kill me or into Alistair and kill him. It goes into this child, and the child grows up to be an old god child. That comes into play in the third game, sort of. I mean, he's there, and he's a little adorable kid. But Morrigan, after the fight, she leaves you. She leaves you. She runs off into the wilds, and that's what Witch Hunt, the DLC, is all about. And the choices you made in the game influence whether you get to travel with her, whether she's nice to you, or whether she hates you. Since I was friends with her, it was good. We did it fine. So with that, my character lived, and all my friends were friends with me, and Liliana, my love, travels with me. In the epilogue, we travel together. And all my friends are there, and they're really happy for me, and everyone's happy. With the DLC Witch Hunt, like I was saying, Morrigan and I were friends, so I convinced her, hey, where's the kid? And she's like, away, and that's when you start talking about alluvions, which come into play in the third game. I'm not sure about the second one. I don't know much about Dragon Age 2 yet. I know a lot about Dragon Age 3 and a lot about Dragon Age 1, but I played them out of order. Shout out to Jordan and my friend Jeff. They both told me, hey, you should play Dragon Age Origins first. And I said, what? And they're like, Dragon Age Origins is way better than all of them. And I was like, nah, dog. Nah, fam. But now I see that the writing and story are pretty good in the first one. The combat sucks my ass. The third one has such good combat. It's so seamless. Oh, I miss the combat. After playing such good combat mechanics, I go back to the amazing storytelling. And, the third one has good storytelling, too. The second one is like the weak one of the group. So once we get from there, we get to the other DLCs that have a role in the storytelling. That's Witch Hunt and Awakening. And I haven't done either of those. And the other one is the Golems of Ragnarok. No, it's Amarok. Yeah, Agmarok. And that one shows someone else was trying to repeat the other golems, but this one's they're different. It's like enhanced upon, and it's pretty bad. We got to kill this gross thing called a harvester, and it harvests souls and stuff. It's gross and it's really difficult. It's harder than the archdemon, I swear. So yeah, my character is alive and well. Alistair is king. Morrigan has the godchild. Liliana is my lover, and we are traveling together. Ogren is my homie, but we're not best friends. Sten is my homie, but we're not best friends. Wynn is my homie, but we're not best friends. All these some of these cameos make appearances in the second and third game. Zevran died. He would make a cameo in the second game, I saw, but he's dead, so he can't. So that's the state that my world is in. Is Alistair is king, sided with the mages, sided with the elves, sided with the radical prince who makes a lot of changes to Orzammar. I helped save the Arl of Redcliffe, slayed the archdemon, but I lived because Morgana's old godchild. And I'm on to Dragon Age Origins Awakening, which is a 6 gigabyte expansion, whereas the other ones were all like 500 megabytes. So this is a massive DLC. A lot of people consider it a true sequel, so I will also consider it a true sequel and give you the updates on the basis of this character that I just created in your minds, and explain throughout. And as soon as I do another character, I will do like a little amendum to any changes that I made, because I'm about to do another second playthrough on my PC because I was playing my Xbox 360 because my lovely fiance got me one for Christmas. Yes, I got a 360 for Christmas, and I've been playing the shit out of it. Trying to boost that gamer score on my Xbox. So we go from that onto Awakening, and I just started it recently. I just got to the part where I'm gathering all these people, and I'll let you know how that goes. I know how it can go, but that's it. After you defeat the archdemon, the Darkspawn are sent into warring factions in the Deep Roads. There's 2 different factions. It looks like there's another Broodmother, which I didn't tell you what happens in that because it's whatever, it's gross. It's another Darkspawn thing. If you want to learn about the Broodmothers, Ghil Dirthalen. So I'll let you know how it goes in Awakening, and then from Awakening I'll go into Dragon Age 2, and then from Dragon Age 2 I'll go into Dragon Age Inquisition, and then what I hope to see in Dragon Age 4, which at the time of this recording has not come out yet, which at some point this is going to be dated and sad. But until then, I will see you all in the next episode of Lorecast.